right, everybody. Looks like good afternoon, whatever. Good evening. Real Life Live. We're back. Uh, well, what we're going to talk about today is what we've been hearing about and things that have been happening in Missouri on the sports side. We want to talk about what happened. All this, with the Chiefs leaving, they signed their deal, they leaving out of town, and that means, we were talking, in the earlier show about all the NFL teams leaving and all that, hey, so we want to talk about that. But I was thinking about the St. Louis Cardinals. And it's a lot of people in St. Louis that think, there's no way in hell, they'll always be in St. Louis. Well, I don't know. I don't trust the DeWitts, let's put it like that, the owners of the Cardinals, I think there is a possibility that the Cardinals could be moved out of St. Louis and going to somewhere else, and that could happen, I'm saying this, the Cardinals will leave St. Louis, okay? If the offer is a good offer, the Wits will take it. They're gone. They'll sell it to anybody. Unless, something gets in the way, and then, after that, then that's the Cardinals, then you don't have nothing in St. Louis, but the arch. But I'm saying, that is a possibility because, I've been talking about racism, in St. Louis because I was born here, so, I've been through the whole deal. So nobody can challenge me on, when I talk about racism here, don't challenge me because, I'll beat you on that. So, now, I'm saying this, the Cardinals leaving, well, let's put it like this. If the DeWitts sell the team, and they're going to do it, and I'm saying, because the DeWitts are angry, at the fans, at the St. Louis fans, they say, y'all didn't show up last year. You see what? Well, we didn't show up, DeWitts, because you didn't spend no money. You didn't have no talent out there. Y'all wasn't winning ball games. You didn't spend no money on no pitching. You got Sonny Gray. Turns out, he's not an ace pitcher though. No, you didn't have no ace. So, you didn't have a good team. So the fans didn't show up. So you blame the fans. You mad at the fans, But, hey, it's not their fault that you held the money. It started with Albert Pujols when you didn't pay him. Then it all, that all started, the snowball effect where the Cardinals decide we don't have to pay nobody as long as some fans keep on coming. Well, that worked for a while. Well, now it's not working. Now you're angry. I'm talking to the DeWitts. You're angry with the fans because they didn't show up last year. Now you're thinking about selling. Well, you're thinking about selling that team. Let's think about this. What if Phoenix calls? The team that, where Bill Phil, moved the football team, and they think about, hey, we might move a team in Phoenix. I know we got one in what is it, in Arizona somewhere. But I'm just thinking about that, they would love to have, football, Cardinals, and baseball, Cardinals. Think about that, huh? Yeah. But see, that's what I'm saying. We had that. St. Louis had that. But I'm saying racism had a big part with all this. You know, they closed the riverfront being closed, downtown, you know, being torn down, you know, and now the tornado came, you know, that tore down the city, and the tornado money that was supposed to help the city, you stole it. Somebody stole it. It's gone. Ain't nobody got it. Yeah, where's it at? Oh, nobody. Ooh, gone. Here's the problem with that. All that shit you're doing with the stealing money and racism and all that bullshit, sooner or later it's gonna come back to haunt you, and it has. I think that's one of the reasons why Kansas City's leaving KC, because KC's racist as hell up there. Missouri, the whole state. So you know, pro teams ain't thinking about that. You know, Crockett talked about that. You know, when he got the Rams out of here, everybody knows that he's talking about the racial, you know, things that you know, the aspects. Racist town. I said that. Well, I know. You know, so, you know, racism has destroyed this town. So, you know, now you got the Cardinals, but let me tell you, I said Phoenix, but they already got the Diamondbacks. So, you know, but hey, the next team, when the defense put out that feeler, okay, where they want to tell, you know, put the team up for sale, okay. The investors, they're gonna look at, you know, first of all, they're gonna probably want to move the team where they're at. And they're going to look at St. Louis, you know, and they're going to hear from people saying, well, we want them to stay in St. Louis, the Cardinals, you know, the tradition, you know, everything is St. Louis, this and that. That don't mean nothing anymore. You can move all that history somewhere else to another state. It's done. It's been done before. Do it again. So the wits ain't worried about that. Shit, they just want to get paid. And you know, they mad, like I say, they mad anyway. You know, because, you know, the Cardinals said, you know. So when you think about that, you know, and by the way, you know, so I mean, we done lost all the football teams and the basketball teams. You know, Kansas City had a basketball team, the Kings. And they lost that, you know. So we don't have football and basketball. It's gonna be all gone. And St. Louis almost lost the hockey team, you know. Yeah, I think it was 1983. They were getting ready to move to Canada, you know, and they had investors in Saskatoon or something like that. Yeah, and they had it all locked up, but I think it was the NHL's board of governors. Sorry about that. They stepped in, you know, and saved the day for St. Louis, but the hockey team was gone. So you know, St. Louis and I'm telling you, I'm not trying to scare anybody about the Cardinals, but hey, that's real. The next people that buy that team, and the DeWitt's gonna sell it for too long. In fact, if that attendance is down this year, and I think it's going to be, because they haven't improved. And thinking about this guy, you know, Shane Bloom, you know, kind of, you know, I'm not all down with him like a lot of people are here. You know, because here's the thing, you know, I done seen, you know, what he's done. Hell, all he's been doing is going back to Boston and getting all the players out of that system, you know. So, you know, the trades he did, you know, I looked at them, you know, I think both of them were with Boston. he traded Contreras, Wilson. I think he got 3 pitchers, and those are suspects. Until they prove themselves in the majors, all they are suspects. That's all they are. So he's made 2-day deals with, with Boston. So I mean, I'm not, and I'm saying this, I'll say it now, the St. Louis Cardinals can leave St. Louis. Yeah, they could leave St. Louis. There's no problem. So let's not be all high and mighty saying that no way in hell the St. Louis Cardinals will never leave St. Louis. Yes, they could. Yeah, they could. I'm saying it here right now. The Cardinals can leave St. Louis. The next investors, they pulling them out of here. Yeah, I said it. The Cardinals will be leaving St. Louis. Now, so I know somebody, as you fans are getting angry, are you getting angry? Good. I like you angry. But I'm real. I believe it. I believe it. I believe that the Cardinals will be leaving St. Louis. And that'll leave this city in this state with what I call bullshit Battlehawks football. We'll talk about them a little bit later. But I'll say bullshit Battlehawks football. That's all you're going to have. Man, I wouldn't buy a goddamn hat or Battlehawks hat or Battlehawks shirt going to the Battlehawks game and that worn out, toe down goddamn dome. Goddamn, if you put a carpet in there, that's all you did, a brand new carpet. But that place is a piece of garbage, and you want a bullshit AAA football team in a toe-down ass city. I'm going to talk about St. Louis like a dog because I can, because I own this down. Well, I don't own it, but, when I was young, I used to dominate in here. I always said I was the best. So as I got older, hey, I still think that. Especially in this town. St. Louis, you see what I'm saying? I talk about you. You know what I'm saying? Because I love you, but hey, because I was born here, but I'm gonna slam you. So you destroyed my city. Racism. That's what did it. Horrible ass racism. It tore it down. Ran out the football, basketball for sure. Football too. Yeah. Yeah. It's always, most of the time, the racial, it's always about race most of the time. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. But what we want to talk about, I said with the Cardinals, there is a possibility, and the Wits are gonna sell that team, and when they sell it, they're gonna say, "Screw St. Louis. You did nothing for us. You let us down in the end." They're gonna stab us in the back, and they're gonna get the hell out of here, unless the same thing happens what the NHL did and say, the whole shit, and stop things. Major League Baseball. I mean, they could do that. Try to. But the investors take it to court or whatever, But what I'm saying, the investors gonna say, hell, this is a sorry ass town. Who wants to come to St. Louis? The people that we vote, the people that are our investors, they're new owners. I'm sorry, new owners. You're gonna see all the people that invest with us. They look at St. Louis. This is a racial, race hating heavy on racism. I mean, destroy your city. You know, you got the county running around pedophilia, all in the county. You know, fuckers, I mean, jokers, getting ready. I mean, getting away. Yeah, I'm sorry, you know, but hey, getting away with a lot of horrible behavior out there. Okay, with kids and stuff. We can talk about that too. But I'm saying this is you know, you done turned this city, my beautiful city, into a horrible ass town because you got horrible people here. I came back to straighten shit out, but boy, it's tough. But I do have this you know, this channel, so you know, I have something to say. You know, keep this. You know, and I'm on your ass. St. Louis and all the people who are doing all the evil shit in this town. And there's a whole lot of it going on. But, you know, I'm saying this about the Cardinals because a lot of people think that'll ever happen. Yeah, it could happen. I think it's gonna happen. Because, you know, hey, you slept on everything. You let your city get torn down. You see what I'm saying? You got bad attitudes here now. People, there's nothing here. This used to be a city of destination. It's not anymore. So that's what I'm saying. You know, it says, hey, it's the racist routine that this city's always run. It's ran out. It ran all the football, basketball teams away. Okay, racism was a big part with that. Now the Chiefs, you know, like I said, we getting ready to sign off. But I'm saying, hey y'all, the St. Louis Cardinals, they could leave St. Louis. Okay, this is real life live. That's serious stuff. It could happen, and I think it's gonna happen. All right, talk to you next time.